You probably won't believe me, but I need to tell someone before it happens again. It's been a year since I stumbled into that place, the hospital wing that isn't supposed to exist, and the memory still clings to me like the stale scent of antiseptic and something far more rotten. I was in my third year of medical school then, a wide-eyed idealist drowning in textbooks and caffeine, convinced I could save the world, one patient at a time. St. Jude's was our training ground, a sprawling, aging institution with more stories whispered in its corridors than actual patient charts. Before we start, are you watching this at night or during the day? Comment below. I know many of you use these scary stories to relax and fall asleep, and I'm doing my best to grow this little channel. Share your feedback, it helps me a lot. Let me know in the comments things like, are the stories too long or too short? Do you want more sound effects? Is the narration calming enough? Your words keep me going. Now, let's dive in. The East Wing had always been a ghost story among students. Officially, it was shut down due to structural issues years ago, sealed off, forgotten. But whispers persisted. Rumors of a hidden floor, of experiments gone wrong, of patients who simply vanished. My roommate Chloe, a history buff with a penchant for urban exploration, had convinced me it was the perfect place for a little research, for a paper I was struggling with on hospital architecture through the ages. She swore she'd found a service entrance on the old city maps that wasn't accounted for in any official blueprints. One late October night, fueled by desperation and a particularly strong batch of coffee, we decided to investigate. The air outside was crisp, carrying the damp, earthy smell of decay that always seemed to settle over the older parts of the city. We found the entrance Chloe had marked, a rusted metal door tucked away behind a thicket of overgrown bushes, almost swallowed by the shadowy embrace of the hospital's massive rear wall. It wasn't locked, just stiff and reluctant, groaning in protest as we pushed it open. The air inside was heavy, thick with dust and a chilling stillness that made the hairs on my arms prickle. It wasn't the darkness I expected. Instead, a faint, sickly green light pulsed from somewhere deeper within. We fumbled for our phone flashlights, their beams cutting through the gloom like desperate fingers. The corridor stretched out before us, eerily clean, the linoleum floor unmarred, the walls painted a sterile, pale green. It was as if a forgotten era had been perfectly preserved, waiting. Then the lights flickered on, an unsteady, buzzing luminescence that cast long, dancing shadows. It wasn't the entire wing, just sections, in sporadic bursts. And the beds. God, the beds. They were all neatly made, pristine white sheets drawn taut, pillows fluffed. It was unsettlingly orderly for a supposedly abandoned wing. Chloe nudged my arm, her eyes wide with a mixture of awe and fear. We moved deeper, our footsteps echoing unnervingly in the silence. As we approached the first row of beds, a morbid curiosity seized me. Each bed had a small, white tag hanging from the metal frame. I leaned in, my flashlight beam illuminating the crisp, black lettering. Patient name, Mr. Silas Croft. Date of death, October 27th. Time of death, 3:17. My breath hitched. Silas Croft. He was in the ICU, fighting for his life. He'd been admitted a week ago. Today was the 26th. My blood ran cold. I moved to the next bed. Patient name, Mrs. Eleanor Vance. Date of death, October 28th. Time of death, 11:45. Mrs. Vance. She was discharged yesterday, recovering nicely. It didn't make sense. Chloe, ever the pragmatist, tried to rationalize it. Maybe it's an old system, like a historical display or something? But the dates, they were all tomorrow, or the day after. We continued down the row, a growing dread tightening its grip around my chest. Patient after patient, names I recognized from the wards, from lectures, from the cafeteria. And always, tomorrow's date, coupled with a precise time of death. The air grew colder, the buzzing of the lights more frantic. I could smell something now, beneath the dust and antiseptic, a faint, coppery tang like old pennies. Then I saw it. Near the end of the ward, the last bed in the row. The name on the tag was mine. Patient name, Amelia Vance. Date of death, October 29th. Time of death, 1 o'clock. By the way, what's scarier to you, paranormal stories or true crime ones? I might add more of what you choose. The world tilted. October 29th. That was 2 days from now. My own name, my own date. It wasn't a display. It wasn't a historical exhibit. It was a schedule. A sick, twisted, horrifying schedule of what was to come. And I was on it. Panic, pure and unadulterated, clawed at my throat. I scrambled back, stumbling over my own feet. Chloe was frozen, staring at the tag, her face ashen. We had invaded something sacred, something that wasn't meant for mortal eyes. This wasn't abandonment, it was appointment. "We have to go," I whispered, my voice a ragged rasp. We turned, our flashlights dancing wildly, the green light pulsing like a malevolent heartbeat. The orderly rows of beds suddenly seemed to watch us, the neatly made sheets like shrouded figures. The silence was no longer empty. It was pregnant with unseen presence. We half ran, half stumbled back down the corridor, the groan of the metal door behind us a welcome sound as it slammed shut, plunging us back into the familiar, if still unnerving, darkness of the outside. We didn't speak for a long time, not until we were back in our dorm room, the city lights a comforting, albeit mundane, reality. Chloe, usually so full of theories, was silent, her eyes fixed on the far wall. I scrubbed my hands raw in the bathroom, as if I could wash away the residue of that place, the chilling certainty of that tag. The next day, I avoided the hospital as much as I could, my mind a constant loop of those names, those dates. I checked on Silas Croft. He was still alive, but his condition had worsened dramatically. Mrs. Vance was indeed discharged, and the tag I'd seen was clearly a cruel fabrication. Or was it? The dread was a constant companion, a cold lump in my stomach. I tried to convince myself it was a hallucination, a stress-induced nightmare. But the memory of the sterile green light, the precisely made beds, and my own name, etched in that damning finality, was too vivid. 2 days passed, and each tick of the clock felt like a hammer blow. I slept poorly, waking abruptly at any creak or whisper, convinced I heard the buzzing of fluorescent lights or the faint rustle of starched sheets. The night of October 28th was the worst. I was awake, heart pounding, staring at the ceiling, waiting for the inevitable. Midnight came and went, then 1 a.m. Nothing. A sliver of relief, so potent it made me dizzy, began to bloom within me. Perhaps I had been wrong. Perhaps it was a prank, a hallucination, a bad dream. And then, at 1 a.m. sharp, as if orchestrated by an unseen hand, the lights in my dorm room flickered and died, plunging me into absolute darkness. For a terrifying second, I was back in that wing, the cold, sterile air filling my lungs. I fumbled for my phone, my fingers slick with sweat, and its weak beam illuminated the empty space beside my bed. Nothing. But as I shone the light around my room, I saw it. Tucked beneath my pillow, something white, a small, folded piece of paper. My hands trembled as I picked it up. It was a tag, identical to the ones in the wing. Patient name, Amelia Vance. Date of death, October 29th. Time of death, 1 o'clock. Tonight. I screamed. The sound ripped from my very core. This wasn't an abandoned wing. It was a waiting room. And my appointment, the one I thought I'd escaped, had finally arrived. The horror isn't over. It's just moved to my own room. I don't know what's coming, but I can feel it. A cold certainty pressing in from the edges of my vision. And I know, with a chilling finality, that no matter where I go, that wing and its list will always find me. Thanks for listening tonight. If you felt the chills, hit subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next story. And let me know what horror theme you want next. Your suggestions decide future videos.